Hey guys, welcome to our video today. We're going to be looking at the keyword for each Enneagram subtype in the social instinct. Okay, all right, so this is for you Enneagram insiders. We're just going to look at the keyword that goes along with each type in the social group. I already have a video for the self-preservation types, and then another one's coming for the sexual or the one-on-one types. And so this is just another interesting way for you to see yourself maybe in a different light and learn a little bit more about yourself and about your dominant subtype. Now, if you're interested in this kind of thing, you can go to my website, tomlahue.com, at the store tab. And there is all my notes that I'm going to be looking at in this video. And I will be looking at my notes because I can't remember all this stuff off the top of my head. But this whole notebook is available for you for free on my store tab. Just go to the store tab and click up on the keywords for each subtype, something, I forget what I titled it, but you can download it for free. It's about, 13, 14 pages, something like that. And it's just all these notes that I'm looking at. And I will put chapter breaks in here, so if you want to jump ahead, you can easily do that. But I would encourage you to watch all of it. The more you understand about all the types, the more you understand about your relatives, your friends, the people that you love, just the more you can show up in a compassionate way. And that's the goal of all of this, is that we would be more compassionate with ourselves, more patient and understanding, and also with the people that we love in life and have better relationships. So let's jump into social subtypes. Now, social subtypes, which I am, by the way, the counter social 7, wing 6, blah, blah, blah. All right, so this is my group. So I understand this way of thinking a little bit better than maybe the other subtypes. When we talk about social subtypes, think about self-preservation is the first orientation is toward resources, money, time, management, and making sure I have everything I need in order to survive. And then the sexual types or the one-on-one types tend to relate to people more on a one-on-one relationship, where us social types, we tend to think about the group and how we're fitting into the group and how we're relating to our group and is our group doing okay. So we tend to be more group oriented. So when you think about the social type, maybe also think about belonging and status, and that will definitely affect the way some of these types show up with the belonging and status and attraction and all that kind of stuff. So how are we fitting in with others? How others are perceiving us? Then this may be your dominant subtype. So let's jump in with type 1. Remember, ones are called the perfectionist, the reformer, but the social subtype of type 1 is sometimes called rigid or non-adaptability. And I also like the term the owner of the truth. I think that one fits better than, tells you more than maybe any of the other titles. So rigid, non-adaptability, or owner of the truth. Social subtypes for type 1 are often seen as kind of the moral compass for their community, standing on the moral high ground, pointing the correct way for the rest of us. The key word here is non-adaptability, and these ones focus on ensuring that society's rules, and that society may depend on what group you're in, right? But societal rules and values are upheld, and we're all upholding the high standard, and we know the right way to behave and the right way to be. They often feel the weight of responsibility for ensuring that others follow these rules. Now, I often say that these ones look a little bit like 5s because both 1s and 5s can kind of give off a know-it-all kind of attitude. And for different reasons, there's a different agenda, different motivations, but this one especially can give off that kind of know-it-all, owner of the truth sort of vibe about themselves. I'm not saying it's bad. We need these people, right? We need somebody who's very confident. They know what the right thing is. They've thought about it, worked through it, and then can help the rest of us and be that voice in the community for the rest of us when maybe we're wanting to cut corners or take it easy. So their non-adaptability comes from their strict adherence to their principles. Good. Principles, convictions, all of us need that. They don't bend or adjust easily to accommodate the group dynamics. More likely, they'll probably leave or walk away or be done. And I've seen that with this kind of social type 1. Okay, so if it means compromising your standards, then this one is probably not going to be willing to do that. They can be, now they might think that they're doing it all the time. You may feel, if you're a social one, you may feel like you're compromising your standards all the time just to get along with people. But real pushes against your convictions or compromising your standards probably not going to end well. So I imagine you would just rather withdraw. They can be seen as rigid and overly critical. Never criticize a 1, right? But 1s tend to be the most critical person on the Enneagram, especially this one, when the group doesn't live up to their high expectations. So social 1s. All right, let's move on to the helper. Type 2, the giver, the helper, the befriender, the connector. The key word here for the social 2 is the word ambition. This is probably the 2 that's more likely to be willing to be in charge and maybe navigating up, through the ranks to find a position of leadership or a position of authority. Typically, I think 2s don't really aspire to be dominant leaders because, when you make yourself a leader, you open yourself up for exposure and people can criticize you. They can tell you that they don't want your help. They can be rude to you, and you often get attacked when you are a leader, and 2s don't like that. 2s want to be pleasing to people and be the reason that people are happy and working together. And this 2 is a little more likely, I think. I kind of call it the adult 2. Self-preservation is the childlike 2. The sexual 2 is kind of the teenager, 20-year-old 2, and this is kind of the adult 2 in my mind, the charge nurse. All 2s you could see them as kind of nurses. Well, this one might be more willing to be the one in charge, okay? So social 2s, the key word is ambition. Ambition. These 2s are highly motivated to be at the center of their social circles. You might say a little spidery. Connected. Everybody's on their web and they're at the center of that, and they're feeling all these connections and they're feeling connected to everybody. And what would happen if you didn't feel that? You might either up your effort to try to make that connection, or you might get frustrated and then just withdraw from that person, thinking there's something wrong with them. So at the center of social circles, they often seek to gain influence through their helpfulness. Influence through their helpfulness. Now, let me tell you, the way the rest of us would read that is manipulation. That's what that would feel like to the rest of us. Trying to gain influence over me or my schedule or what I do, my freedoms, because you're being helpful to me. So you might see people resist or react against your helpfulness. And it's not because they don't want you to help them. It's just they realize that we're obligating ourselves in some kind of transactional, reciprocal agreement that doesn't feel free to us. And so people might push back against this kind of help. So their ambition shows up in the way they aim to be indispensable to their communities. Remember, the sin is pride, right? So pride says, I'm indispensable. I should be the priority in your life. After all I've done for you, I should be the priority in your life, and I don't feel like you're making me the priority that I deserve to be. Watch me be upset. Watch me be hurt. So they want to be the go-to person in their community for support and care. And not that maybe you want to necessarily meet everybody's needs, but you like to be the go-to person, the one that's in the know, the one that understands everybody and their needs and then can make the resources happen for people. And it might hurt your feelings if somebody go to somebody else or they don't come to you anymore for that support and care. They'll often work tirelessly, the servant, 2-wing 1, tirelessly to maintain that status. While they are still driven by love and connection, their focus is on being recognized and appreciated by the group as a whole. So you may say, I don't need to be appreciated. Really? Okay. Well, what happens when people don't appreciate you? My guess is you probably feel some kind of way about that, and probably it's not a good way. Typically with 2s, appreciation is kind of the air they breathe, and so never take a 2 for granted. If you have a 2 in your life, just be willing at times to say, hey, thank you. I really appreciate it. Couldn't have done it without you. Really, came through for me. Wow, I really appreciate it. That's probably all that 2 really needs. They don't need much. They just need every once in a while just a little bit of acknowledgement. And of course, like all humans, they need love, care, and all the other things too. But in terms of appreciation. It doesn't, a little bit goes a long way. But if you don't do any, there's going to be problems. All right, type 3. This 3, you know, the performer, the achiever. This 3, the social subtype, is, I think, sometimes called the politician, but this social subtype is called, the key word for them is prestige. Prestige. And the other subtypes, let's see, the sexual subtype is called the movie star, and the self-preservation is called something, I forget. But the social subtype, the key is on prestige. Think about prestige, like standing out apart from the group. So here's the group. I need to stand out apart from the group. So social 3s are all about prestige and how they get that honor in that community. So social 3s are hyper aware of how they're being perceived by others. And so this is why the superpower, I think, on 3s is called mind reading, I think, because they can sort of see what people want them to be, or they can see what people value. Constantly working to cultivate an image of success. That's not the same thing as success. Keep that in mind. The image of success is maybe a little different than success. I think success might be you have $1 million and you live in a normal house, right? Most of us would feel very successful if we lived in a normal house, like a typical, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house with $1 million in the bank. We would feel very successful. Driving an old Dodge Caravan, very successful. But see, the image of success is very different. The image of success is grand house, the boat, the luxury car, the expensive watch, name brand labels. That's all the image of success. And the image of success is not the same thing as success. But the image of success communicates a message about you. And notice, all worth and value types need to communicate a message about themselves that they hope will be reciprocated. And so the image of success, and I would just caution you 3s right here, image management. A lot of what you do might be thought of as image management. And it is important what people think about you. It's just maybe not the most important thing. Being in touch with your own inner core is also very important. So, work very hard to cultivate an image of success and status within their social circles. Status. How are people viewing me? That, people admire someone who's strong. I've got to be strong. People admire someone who's funny. I got to be funny. Realize the strong and the funny, really, they're probably not thinking about trying to be strong and funny. They just are strong and funny, or kind and nice. They just are that, or are good. And notice the 3 is kind of doing a copy paste. Oh, people admire strength. I've got to be strong. People admire lions. I got to be a lion. People admire champions. I got to be a champion. People admire those who are funny and witty. I've got to be funny and witty. But it always comes across a little bit artificial. And you say, artificial? Remember what the sin of the 3 is? Deceit. That sounds like the word for artificial. Artificial. And it is artificial. So if we were going to do Enneagram work, you and I, we would start to really work on who are you and what do you really care about? Is your time balanced? Is your schedule balanced? And if you could let go of this need to, have a successful image, what would you then focus on? Maybe other things in your life that would be very important. So it's not just about personal achievement for them. It's about being seen as the best. Ooh, that feels uncomfortable, doesn't it? That it's not just about being the best, it's important to be seen as the best. Realize this, that being great and needing to be seen as great are 2 totally different things. Being great is different than the desire to be seen as great. Being knowledgeable is different than the desire to be seen as knowledgeable. And so just notice if your attention goes to actually mastering something and being great and being whatever, fill in the blank, or being known as or being seen as. And that's all about prestige. It's all about how people are viewing me, playing those cards. About being seen as the most successful and seen as the most admired. They may take on leadership roles or work to align themselves with influential people, always networking up, in order to elevate their own standing. Why do you care so much, right? Why do you care so much about what people think? What would you do if you didn't care so much about what people think? What would you then focus on? See, that's a good question. What would you do if you weren't doing something? If you weren't doing something this all the time, what would you do? So prestige and reputation are everything to the social three, and they work hard to maintain their image. And that's not bad. It's just there's other things that may be more essential. Like go talk to a one about this. And the one would, I think, really be frustrated about focusing so much on the external. And ones want to be seen as a good person. Realize that. They want to be seen as a good person, but they're more willing to allow their convictions to lead them to doing what's right, even if it makes them appear in front of the camera as an enemy or something. All right, type 4, the social 4. Oh, the sad 4. The social 4, yeah, sometimes called the sad 4. The key word here is shame. So this one truly is the Eeyore 4. This is probably the 4 we all know and love when we think about 4s. And you think about, the person with the hair in their eyes and the piercings, and they're just on TikTok just staring at a camera. Like, do you see me? Do you see me being different? Do you see me not being happy? Do you see me just, upset and hurt? These are probably the social 4s. The key word is shame. It's kind of like, we got kicked out of the Garden of Eden and everybody is like trying to move on from that. And the 4s just have the sign that says, don't you see something's wrong? Don't you see something's broken? I'll wear the shame necklace for all of humanity. And these 4s feel a deep sense of being different or not fitting in with the group. If you believe you're fundamentally different, like you're fundamentally flawed, and then you're trying to be a social type, connecting to that group, can you feel that push-pull? Like, I want to belong to the group, but they will reject me. I want to belong to the group, but they won't understand me. I want to belong to the group, but they don't really get me, and I can't lose myself. Is literally called the individualist. I'm an individualist trying to be a part of a group. Individualist group. Individualist group. Can you see? Push, pull. I'm a part of the group. I got to be myself. I want to be a part of the group and feel accepted and belong because I'm a human, but I can't compromise who I am and lose my identity. I need to blend into the group. No, fit in. I want to fit in with the group, but I don't want to blend in with the group. So look, you can see this. Let's play the game. Let's play this game. I don't mean to minimize it. I guess I am kind of minimizing. I'm a 7, right? I don't know. I'm apologizing, sort of. But so they want to fit in with the group, but they often feel a struggle with feelings of shame around their perceived inadequacies. Remember the story of the 4, the childhood story is like the wound is like mom rejected me and everybody rejected me. And so there's this fear of rejection, right? Notice this, take off all the makeup and all the crap, take off all that stuff. Like go on TikTok, look at these people, take all that stuff off. You can't. Why? Because you're ashamed of being without it. Just who you are. Nobody would want to be friends with me, just who I am. See underneath? See that shame? Oh, that feels like a dagger in my heart, doesn't it? Like nobody would love me just for me if I just kept my mousy brown hair and my brown eyes. Nobody would think I was special. So I'm going to dye my hair white and purple and blue, which is fine. I'm a 7, okay? I would dye my hair. What hair? This is going nowhere. I would dye my hair, but for totally different reasons. Because it's fun. Because, hey, look at that. They'll get a load of that out of this. So totally different motivations, right? But notice like you dye your hair all these colors and eye makeup and everything and piercings and all this, which is fine. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying, what would happen if you didn't have that? What would your identity be? Sometimes 4s, you get so stuck to this identity you created that you are no longer being true to yourself. Okay, so they are hyper aware of social dynamics and long to belong. Why? Because you're a human. You're a human being and you want to belong. You were designed to connect with other people and to have friendships and community and love, right? God said in the Garden of Eden, it's not good for man to be alone. And so we crave community, all of us. But you also have this feeling like you don't quite measure up, or you might flip that in your head like they don't measure up. They don't measure up. But if you were honest, it's probably more like something about me feels like I don't quite fit in or don't quite feel at home. I don't feel like I belong. Okay, so this creates that push-pull dynamic where they might seek to set themselves apart as unique and you need to see how different I am. Feeling deeply ashamed for not fitting in. So social fours tend to express their shame in emotional or dramatic ways. Slamming doors, leaving, walking away, saying all kinds of things. Feeling, tears, focusing on your past traumas, seeking validation from the group to heal their wounds. See, something's broken, but you may not know what it is. So then, it's grandma's dying of cancer. I feel so sad. And then people come and comfort you. And look, you're being noticed, like you're being cared for. And it feels good to feel cared for. Social fours, the sad four. Okay. Type 5, the investigator, the observer. Social fives. Yes, these are the fives that look a little bit like ones because they tend to, want to know everything about all the information. So these are the information fives. And the key word here is the word totem, like a totem pole. And we'll talk about why that's called the totem five. But social fives they're characterized, as focusing on their place in the group as the one with the information or the one with the right knowledge or the one who's competent and has the expertise. They want to be seen by the group. Social fives, they want to be seen by the social group as the person to go to with all of the answers for all of the questions about all of the stuff. But because they are fives, like self-preservation fives, they have these boundaries where they want to keep people at a distance and they don't want to be overrun or overwhelmed by people. And so, check my office hours. You can come talk to me during my office hours. I don't want to be overwhelmed by people. So they want to be valued for their knowledge and expertise. They want to be seen, as the fourth degree black belt, the ninja that knows all the secret moves with the nunchucks, so that they can defeat the enemy. They want to be seen as an expert. They want to be seen as the expert in the information technology, the go-to guy to fix everything when the computers break down, the person who has all the right information. They often seek out a niche or niche communities or intellectual circles. So popular mechanics, they want, or maybe ancient history or paleontology and archaeology or some area that or medical examiners, some area that allows you to be an expert, a niche within a niche, the wise one, the Yoda in the group. They want to be seen as a valuable resource. They often work to build a reputation with their group as a keeper of the knowledge. And so their totem status comes from being a revered figure within a specific social setting. So a revered figure, like the one that people come to figure out what to do next. Okay, so let's talk about type 6, the loyalist, the skeptic. Let's see, we haven't done any counter types yet. Remember, one of the subtypes for every type will be a counter type. 7, 8, 9, the socials are 7, 8, and 9 counter types. All right, let's go back to 6. 6, the loyalist. Key word here is duty. Duty, responsibility. Social sixes look a little bit like ones because they tend to pull communities together and keep people focused on duty and responsibility and on being on the right side of things. So it sounds like a one, the right side of things, but it's more like an us and them, like the good side, the people who will keep us safe versus the other side that want to destroy our society or that are going to overthrow things. And so we've got to keep our eyes on those people. We got to stay vigilant on those. These are often the real investigative reporters that want to get to the bottom of things and show you how the government's lying to you and show you how corporations are poisoning us with their foods, which they probably are. But these sixes, I love these people because they like to dig and figure out the truth and then get on the right side of things and then warn everybody and let us all know, that those people over there are corrupt and those people over there, we're exposing them. Sixes are tattletales. You guys are just tattletales. We're going to expose those people over there that are filling the meatballs with sawdust, and we're going to point them out so that you can be safe, so that you can be warned. Sixes are always waving that flag, warning everybody. The speaking style is warning. All right, so social sixes are all about duty and responsibility. They feel a deep responsibility to the group. They don't want to lead the group astray, so they're very cautious about the group and about what they say to the group and what they share with the group, whether that's family, whether that's their church family, whether that's the community at large. They're highly aware, or their work community, highly aware of the social structures, and often are seen as the glue that holds groups together. So these are the civilians. These are the community members, right? I'm Bob the postman, and I take the mail, and then I give that to Harriet the baker, and Harriet the baker does her part, and then Sam the butcher, and we all work together in this community where there's harmony and where we all know our part and we all fulfill our duty. We all fill our duty, our responsibility, and we make the society work. We make the social structures work, and then everything gets working well. And we're always on the alert for that one thing that might disrupt this, and we want to draw attention to it, call it out, identify it, and then deal with that, or have somebody deal with it. We may just want to tell the authority structures above us to deal with it. Their sense of duty drives them to be reliable and trustworthy. They often take on roles that require them to protect and serve the group. So think Marines, Coast Guard, Security Guard, EMTs, all right? Social sixes can become hypervigilant about their well-being of their community and may struggle with anxiety about letting others down. I often say this is kind of also the cult leader or the person that exposes the cult as a cult. Social sixes. You need to join the Constitutional Party. Do you know that if you vote for this other candidate, they're going to destroy America? Okay. They're literally on the streets yelling at people, warning them, repent. You got to love that. All right. So type sevens. And you think, back to sixes. You think they're bold, but it's not so much about being bold as it is, I'm trying to do something here and let people know so that they can know the truth, so that they can make their own decisions. And I'm going to be held accountable one day. And I want to be on the right side of things. So a lot of passion, right? A lot of passion, which can be a great thing. Sometimes too much, though. People might back away. Like, wow. And, that six has spun so many things over time that when they try to explain everything to you, you might think, wow, how did you get from here to there? Like, you have to accept a lot of points along the way to get to the conclusion that you're at. And sometimes it's hard for sixes to explain everything to you in a way, in an hour or less of how they got to where they are, building a bunker and storing food underground. Okay, so type sevens, this is me. This one is me, the social seven, the counter seven, the adult seven, the seven that looks like a two, okay? And the key word here, watch this, no wonder we look like twos. The key word for this seven is sacrifice. Oh, you don't have any idea how much I'm telling myself no in order to make everybody happy, in order to make sure that my group is happy, to make sure that everybody is positive. My number one Clifton Strength Finder strength is positivity. I need everybody to be positive, which is not always a good thing because sometimes people aren't positive and then I end up negative, right? So, keyword is sacrifice. I'm going to do the right thing. I need to be seen as a good guy. I need to be seen, especially tri-type 7, 1, 2. Oh, man. I'm telling you guys, it's a lot. So the key word for social type sevens is sacrifice. Now, this is one of those cool things that if I were to talk to the people that live with you, they would say, oh my gosh, they never sacrifice. They always do what they want. They always buy crap they don't need. They always, make a comment about what they wish they were doing and how we can make this better. And they probably wouldn't see you necessarily as somebody who they identify with the word sacrifice. But if I could talk to you as a social seven, I guarantee 100% that you're going to be like, yep, Yep, absolutely. In my own head, because I'm a 7. I can feel all the stuff I want to do. Why am I living here? Why am I not in France? Why am I not in Germany? Why am I not in Alaska right now and flying a plane and riding a Jeep in the desert? And I can visualize myself doing all that, but look at me doing the right thing, saying no, being responsible, being a good dad, being a good husband. While 7s are generally seen as pleasure-seeking and fun-loving, social 7s are more focused on how they can contribute to the group. So, okay, they're willing to sacrifice their personal desires. Like, I could be a glutton. You have no idea what I could, but I'm sacrificing those personal desires and impulses. See, counter, I'm pushing back naturally on that. For the greater good of my social group, for the greater good of the people that are depending on me, that feels like anxiety. As a 7, people depending on you and needing you can feel a little anxious. These 7s want to still have fun. Absolutely. Yes, Lord. Thank you. These 7s still want to have fun, but they're more concerned about being liked and accepted. Oh, that feels exposing. That feels uncomfortable. The Enneagram does this, right? It makes you feel uncomfortable. They more concerned about being liked and accepted by their peers, so they will often put the group's needs ahead of their own. So look at us doing the right thing, like a 1 or a 2, taking care of people because we don't want to be a bad guy. They're the ones organizing events sometimes. I'm more like the guy walking around. I don't really want to organize it, but I'll walk around and tell everybody, you're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. Everybody loves you. So I don't really know what my purpose is. maybe not all that important. But I love doing it. I love positivity and encouragement. And you're doing a great job, man. You're nailing it. The ones organizing the events, bringing people together. Yep. Love it. And sacrificing their own time and energy to ensure everyone is having a good time. Yes. Love it. Like it. But, probably that 7, like me, it'd probably be good if maybe we could be a little more selfish at times and be okay, pushing back on that counter type just a little bit. All right, so type 8, the challenger, the boss. And this is the counter 8. This is my daughter Grace is a counter 8, and we have a lot of conversations about about how she controls her 8ness, how she limits it. And, she found this video that was funny about this girl that was like, I would just want to be toxic at least once in my life. I want to be toxic, but I won't. I'll end up doing the right thing. And for a counter 8, that's probably very relatable. I think one of the key words here or key thoughts for this counter 8 is limitation. How this 8 limits themselves all the time. They want to say out loud this truth that will devastate somebody, but be honest and right. But look at this 8 trying to be nice. Look at this 8 trying to protect people's feelings. I think this 8 is very aware of what they don't say and what they don't allow themselves to do. The team leader, I think, is the name of this 8. And the word for it is friendship. Friendship. Now, isn't that nice? That isn't probably the word that most of us would associate with an 8. Think about that. Like, if you said, okay, what type on the Enneagram is most focused on friendship? People would say, oh, well, the 2. Oh, yeah, maybe the 6, right? But most people probably wouldn't say, oh, well, yeah, the 8. The 8, 100%. But notice, look at that. The counter 8, the key word here is friendship. Look how important your friendships are to you. Maybe you are the great instigator that gets those friends together, brings them all together like a little shepherd bringing your sheep together and then telling them what to do next and making sure everybody's got what they need and taking care of people's needs and empowering them and counseling them, and almost a little bit like a 6. Like this 8 sometimes look a little bit like a 6 or maybe a little bit like a 2. These 8s value friendship above all else. Well, isn't that a beautiful thing? These 8s are fiercely protective. Remember, 8s love equals protection. So if you got an 8, overstepping their boundaries, trying to be too protective of you, just realize that's them trying to love you. Protective of their inner circle and see themselves as defenders of their friends and allies. Defenders. Sounds a little bit like a 6. 6-wing 5 is called the defender. Okay, they may take on leadership roles within their group, but their motivation is to ensure that their friends are safe and taken care of. Look how different that is than like a 3. Like if a 3, like that social 3, prestige, if they took on a leadership role, it wouldn't be for that goal, right? It wouldn't be for the same reason. Notice that. Let me read that again. They may take on a leadership role, like small group leader, or it could be that in the church, or it could be management or assistant manager or supervisor or something at work. But their motivation is to ensure that their friends are safe. I wonder what that means about their enemies. Their friends are safe and taken care of. Social 8s are more focused on building strong, loyal relationships than on dominating and controlling others. When you think of 8s, right, you think of dominating and controlling. Sexual 8s, we're going to look at that one in the next video. Keyword is dominance and possession. But the social 8s, more focused on building strong communities and loyal relationships than on dominating and controlling others. So as an 8, if you're a social 8 and you watch all these videos and stuff on 8, you may be like, man, that's just not me. That's not me. I don't feel like I do that. I don't feel like I do that. Why do they keep saying that? Well, probably you're a counter 8. That's probably what's going on. So they gather people around them and are deeply invested in the well-being of their social circle. That's beautiful. That's a great thing. Nothing wrong with that. What happens to you, though, if you're not getting the responses from your friends? Or what if they get upset with you because you're too demanding or bossy or pushy or shovey, and people, don't always appreciate that? I can see where that could leave you feeling a little bit alone. So imagine these 8s have a problem because they want to be independent, resourceful, self-reliant, but at the same time, I need people. And you might hate yourself about this one thing. There's a part of me that wants to go to Arizona and live in the desert and rely on nobody and just raise horses. I'm just done. I'm done. I just want to move to Arizona and raise horses and drive a 4-wheeler and marry a guy that drives a truck. And that's what I want to do with my life. But then I need relationships and I need friendships and I need connections. And so this might really frustrate you about yourself as an 8. I can see that. All right, so type 9. Here we go. The peacemaker. Remember, healthy 9s are peacemakers. Not so healthy 9s are just peacekeepers. Whatever it takes so people aren't upset. I don't want my comfort disrupted by people being upset. Now, social 9s are the counter 9s. So social 7s, social 8s, and social 9s are the counter types. So this is the 9 that pushes back a little more easily on the sloth and actually can easily become a workaholic. So if you know a 9 who's a workaholic, there's a good chance that they're probably a social 9. Social 9s often look a little more like 3s naturally, I think, because they are very focused on their work. They tend to lose themselves to the groups and organizations and jobs that they belong to. So social type 9s are driven. Oh, by the way, the key word here is participation. Everybody should participate. I want to participate, and everybody else needs to have a seat on the bus, and everybody else needs to feel included, and everybody else on the team needs to feel like they're a part of the group and that they have a voice in this and that we're all in this together. Remember the fear of a 9? Fragmentation, which is the opposite of this. This is where everybody's doing their own thing and they're all mad at each other. That's the fear of a 9. So social 9s, participation. We all participate. See the group participating. These are the band leaders. They get the whole band participating together. Beautiful thing. These 9s seek to be included and involved in the group, often acting as mediators or peacekeepers. Now, Bob, we've heard enough from you, Bob. Bob. Now, settle down, Bob. We'll come back to you in just a minute. Go ahead, Frank. See? Keeping everybody working together. It's important. It's an important job. Often acting as mediators and peacekeepers. Isn't this Andy Griffith? Do you guys ever watch the Andy Griffith show? I think this is kind of him right here. They want to ensure that everybody gets along. Isn't that Andy Griffith? The whole community's always got some kind of weird fighting problem, and Andy comes in and sort of calms it down. A lot of times not telling them the whole truth. Okay. Gets along and that they're part of the group social dynamic. Social nines often go out of their way to blend in and avoid conflict. So let's harmonize. Let's get everybody working together. I don't need to stand out. I'm not important. I don't need to be different. I'll wear the khakis and the green company shirt. Highly aware of group harmony. You might get frustrated with yourself because you're not a 1 or a 3 and you're not accomplishing all these goals, but just think somebody's got to keep the team working together. And that's where often you shine in getting the team to harmonize and love each other and operate like a unit. Their focus on participation can sometimes lead them to neglect their own needs and opinions. There's the sloth. Right? What do you need? How can we help you? How do you feel about this? What do you think is right? Okay, you got one group saying that we should go green and another group saying we should go yellow. What do you think? And see, you might not really know or want to be the voice that determines this because you just want harmony in the group. But so you could lose your own opinions. Remember, this is the 9 that loses themselves to the groups they belong to. They prioritize group cohesion over individual expression. Group cohesion over individual expression. Now, that could frustrate some of the individualists among us, that want to champion the cause for, our own belief in opposition. So the oppositional, defiant people, this could really be a problem for you dealing with that kind of person. But I think these 9s, they really do bring people together and keep us working on the task and make sure everybody feels like they're a part of the team. Great, wonderful thing. So there we go. We have reviewed all of the subtypes, the key words for the social subtypes 1 through 9. If you need any help, reach out to me. I'd love to work with you and help you learn more about yourself and how you can show up and be more present to life and your relationships. Maybe you're trying to get along with somebody and it's not going so well. I'm here for you. I understand. It can be tough sometimes. We'll work through it together and we'll come up with a plan. I have lots of different coaching programs from 1 appointment to 3 weeks to 6 weeks to 12 weeks and all kinds of classes that are available. And, if you want to keep growing, check out this video that I'm recommending and this playlist. And we're going to stay in this together as we learn more about ourselves and are able to be more present to our families, our friends, and our social groups, social type. I'll see you next time. Thank you, guys.